When war breaks out, the damage is not limited to battlefields. It spreads deep into everyday life through economic collapse. As industries shut down, jobs disappear and inflation spirals. Ordinary people are pushed into survival mode. Families struggle to afford food, medicine, and shelter, while savings lose value overnight. Schools close, hospitals run short of supplies, and communities fracture under pressure. Beyond the statistics, the true cost is human: lost stability, shattered futures, and generations forced to rebuild from ruin long after the fighting ends. Today, we will talk about the human cost of economic collapse during war. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Introduction. War beyond the battlefield. War is often described in terms of territory, strategy, and military power, but its most enduring impact is economic destruction and the human suffering that follows. When economies collapse during conflict, the effects reach every household, regardless of whether people are directly involved in fighting. The loss of financial stability leads to unemployment, scarcity of essential goods, and a breakdown of public services. In wars such as World War I, World War II, the Syrian Civil War, and the Yugoslav Wars, entire populations experienced economic systems failing almost overnight. The collapse transforms daily life into a struggle for survival, where even basic needs like food, water, and medicine become uncertain. 2. Collapse of employment and income systems. One of the first casualties of war-driven economic collapse is employment. Factories shut down due to destroyed infrastructure, disrupted supply chains, or lack of raw materials. Small businesses are often the first to disappear, as consumers lose purchasing power and markets shrink. In conflicts like the Syrian War beginning 2011, unemployment rates in some regions rose above 50%, forcing families into dependency on aid or informal labor. Without stable income, households are unable to plan for the future, and many are pushed into extreme poverty. This loss of livelihood not only affects individuals, but dismantles entire community economies built over generations. 3. Inflation, currency devaluation, and financial instability. War frequently triggers hyperinflation and currency collapse as governments print money to fund military operations or lose control over financial systems. During Zimbabwe's economic crisis in the late 2000s and Lebanon's financial collapse in recent years, partially linked to instability and conflict pressures, citizens saw their savings become worthless. Prices of basic goods can rise daily, making salaries meaningless. In wartime economies, a loaf of bread or a liter of fuel may cost several times more within weeks. This financial instability forces families to abandon traditional banking systems and rely on barter, foreign currency, or black markets, deepening inequality and insecurity. 4. Food insecurity and humanitarian crisis. Economic collapse during war directly leads to food shortages and widespread hunger. Agricultural production is disrupted by land destruction, displacement of farmers, and lack of transportation. According to humanitarian reports from conflicts like Yemen's ongoing crisis, millions face acute food insecurity due to both war and economic breakdown. When supply chains fail, even regions that were previously self-sufficient begin relying on international aid. Malnutrition, especially among children, increases dramatically, leading to long-term developmental issues. Families are often forced to reduce meals, skip nutrition entirely, or make dangerous choices just to survive. 5. Healthcare breakdown and rising mortality. As economies collapse, healthcare systems deteriorate rapidly. Hospitals lose funding, medical supplies become scarce, and trained professionals flee conflict zones. In war-torn regions such as Syria and parts of Ukraine during active conflict periods, medical facilities have struggled to function under extreme shortages. Preventable diseases spread more easily when sanitation systems fail and access to medicine is limited. Pregnant women, children, and the elderly are disproportionately affected. The inability to afford treatment or reach hospitals turns otherwise survivable conditions into fatal ones, significantly increasing civilian mortality rates beyond battlefield deaths. 6. Displacement and the loss of economic identity. Economic collapse during war often forces mass displacement, creating refugee crises that reshape entire populations. people lose not only homes, but also livelihoods, property, and social identity tied to their work and community. For example, millions displaced during the Syrian and Afghan conflicts had to restart life in unfamiliar countries or camps with limited economic opportunity. Skilled professionals become unemployed or underemployed, working in jobs far below their qualifications. This loss of economic identity creates psychological distress and long-term dependency on aid systems, slowing both personal and national recovery. 7. Education disruption and generational poverty. When economies collapse in war, education systems are among the first institutions to suffer. Schools close due to insecurity, lack of funding, or destruction of infrastructure. Children are often forced into labor to support family survival instead of attending school. In long conflicts, such as those in South Sudan or Syria, entire generations risk growing up without consistent education. This interruption creates a cycle of generational poverty, as lack of education limits future employment opportunities and economic mobility. The long-term impact is not just immediate hardship, but a weakened human capital base for decades. 8. Long-term psychological and social consequences. Beyond material loss, the human cost of economic collapse during war includes deep psychological and social damage. Constant financial insecurity leads to anxiety, depression, and trauma across populations. Social structures weaken as trust declines, and competition for scarce resources increases. Communities that once thrived on cooperation may fragment under pressure. Even after wars end, recovery is slow because rebuilding economies requires stability, investment, and time. The invisible scars, fear, uncertainty, and loss of opportunity, often persist longer than physical destruction, shaping the lives of entire generations long after peace is restored. Conclusion. The lasting human shadow of economic collapse in war. The human cost of economic collapse during war extends far beyond immediate destruction, creating a long and deeply layered impact on societies. While physical damage to cities and infrastructure is visible, the invisible collapse of economic systems leaves more persistent and widespread suffering. When jobs vanish, currencies lose value, and essential services fail, people are pushed into survival conditions that strip away stability, dignity, and opportunity. These effects do not remain limited to the duration of conflict. They often continue long after peace agreements are signed. One of the most devastating outcomes is the way economic collapse reshapes entire generations. Children growing up during wartime often miss years of education, proper nutrition, and healthcare, which permanently affects their future earning potential and social mobility. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.